Good morning and welcome to Asked and Answered. I'm Rizzo.
And I'm Zabrina Reich.
And today we're going to provide a brief overview of just a couple of the immigration-related executive orders that the Trump administration, that President Trump signed. So the first one, which has already been enjoined by a federal district court judge, was one that purported to end birthright citizenship, which is something that President Trump promised on the campaign trail. The only problem with that is that the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution provides a birthright citizenship to anybody who was born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So what the executive order attempted to do was to redefine what it means to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And they said that anybody who was born in the United States to a mother who was either in a temporary work visa or any kind of temporary visa or unlawfully present, undocumented in the U.S., and whose biological father is not either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, is not subject to the jurisdiction there of the United States and therefore is not a U.S. citizen at birth. A judge in the state of Washington found that blatantly unconstitutional and issued a temporary restraining order. Very unlikely that executive order is going to be upheld.
I think it's almost more performative in nature than anything else, and an attempt to deliver on a campaign promise. Some of the other executive orders, again, we're not covering everything on this segment, but there's certain redundancies and themes to President Trump's executive orders, especially when it comes to the southern border. And specifically, there were two executive orders, one of which that deemed that there's a national emergency at the southern border, and another that insinuates there's a large-scale invasion at the southern border. And that rhetoric is very intentional because under the National Emergencies Act, it allows the federal government to authorize additional military personnel to deploy them at the southern border, as well as authorizing more detention space to be built. Additionally, the language of declaring an invasion, that can actually lay the foundation to not only effectively close down the southern border, but for invoking the Alien Enemies Act, which was last utilized by the U.S. in World War II to create the Japanese internment camps. So very specific rhetoric with very particular rationale behind to try to shut down the southern border almost entirely.
Yeah, and included in one of those orders was an instruction to the Department of Homeland Security to shut down the CBP-1 app. That was something that was launched under the Biden administration to book interviews at the southern border to make claims for asylum. That was turned off immediately, and people who had appointments scheduled, they were canceled. And there is currently no way to make an asylum claim at the southern border.
So while President Trump rolled back many Biden-era executive orders, he did not roll back the one that required the utilization of appointments within CBP-1 as the only mechanism to apply for asylum. So now you've turned off the CBP-1 app, but you have an executive order that says that you can't just show up at the border to apply for asylum. So we're all waiting to see what happens next, and there's arguments, and I can certainly understand how we're in violation of certain international and humanitarian related treaties by not having a mechanism to claim asylum at the southern border right now.
All right, we will have more updates on the changes introduced by the Trump administration. Follow us for more videos like this.